Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about a second set of texts from the first week in British Lit 2. Today we'll talk about Charlotte Smith, a little bit about Charlotte Smith before we start on her poetry. She was born Charlotte Turner in 1749 to the land-owning wealthy. That was called the landed gentry. And her mother died when Charlotte was 3. She died in childbirth. And her father owned two very prosperous estates. One was Stoke Palace in Surrey, Bignor Park in Sussex was the other one. But he had a little bit of a gambling problem and lost all of his fortune. So when she was 15, he married her off to a very wealthy Benjamin Smith, who came from slave trade money. She would call her, go on to call later, call her marriage legal prostitution because literally that's what it was. Dad sold her for money. The Smiths' first child died a day after her second child, Benjamin Burney, was born, and Benjamin Burney himself only lived to be to 10 years old. So very tragic. Infant mortality was very commonplace in the 18th century, and it still didn't kind of lessen, I guess, the pain. But there's a lot in her writing, very poignant passages about the death of her children in a lot of her works. So Benjamin Smith wasn't any better with money than Dad was. He was very irresponsible, and he was in prison for debt. And her first book of verse, Elegiac Sonnets, was published in 1784 while Smith was in debtor's prison with her husband and children. And so this poem, the whole collection of poems in that book of poems, does reflect her sadness and despondency of the situation that they were in. So after prison, Benjamin ran off to France to avoid his creditors. Insisted, can you hear my dog playing with a dog toy? I'm going to pause this for just a second so I can take it away from him. Give me 1 second. My animals always pick the wrong times to make as much racket as possible. Um, and so her husband ran off to France to avoid his creditors, insisting that she follow him with their 9 children. And she said, "No, fam, I'm good." She left him, and to raise money to feed and protect her family, she started publishing her works, her poetry, her prose, her verse. In all, she produced 63 volumes, including several novels and stories for children. So, all of the writing that she did reflect the time period she lived in, the places that she knew, the conditions that she was in. She's sometimes called the Sussex poet. After the French Revolution, she helped to look after refugees from France and used them as inspiration in some of her writing. She had a great impact on other great romantic writers of the time, like Jane Austen, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, William Wordsworth, who identified Smith as an important influence on the Romantic movement. But she struggled with poverty until her death in 1806. So we're going to take a look today at two of the poems from Elegiac Sonnets, Tonight and To Sleep. We'll start with To Sleep, I guess, because it's here on the top. Come, balmy sleep, tired nature's soft resort, on these sad temples all thy poppies shed, and bid gay dreams from Morpheus's airy court float in light vision round my aching head, secure of all thy blessings, partial power. On his hard bed the peasant throws him down, and the poor sea-boy in the rudest hour enjoys thee more than he who wears a crown. Clasped in her faithful shepherd's guardian arms, well may the village girl sweet slumbers prove, and they, O gentle sleep, still taste thy charms, who wake to labor, liberty, and love. But still thy opiate aid dost that thou deny to calm the anxious breast, to close the streaming eye. So what we have here, To Sleep, is this speaker is asking sleep to arrive and bring the dreams or its dreams to soothe the speaker's aching head. So it's coming to everybody else, right? It's coming to the peasant on his hard bed and to the sea boy in the rudest hour, the storms at sea. And it comes to a little village girl that's clasped in her shepherd's arms. Um, but it's not coming to our speaker. It's not coming to her. She starts with "Come, Balmy Sleep." There at the very beginning, tired at nature's resort. She wants to have a pleasant sleep. She wants it badly. She wants to rest and regenerate and prepare her mind and body. She's exhausted. In lines 4 and 5, she's got a sense of anxiety and distress. She's talking about her aching head. She's talking about light vision. So she's got some, she's been without sleep for so long that um, she's starting to have physical, reaction to not getting enough rest. She has no control. As much as she wants it, she can't force it to happen. And she seems to be under the pressure of what's going on in her life. And so she doesn't understand why all these other people can get, and she's really kind of jealous of the others that can sleep and enjoy it even at the rudest hours and the most inopportune times. So she wants to be that person. She wants to be able to sleep, but that she can't. It says, "But still, thy opiate aid dost thou deny to calm the anxious breast, to close the streaming eye." So she's begging for sleep, but she can't sleep. The opiate aid uh, is denied her the ability to rest, to calm her anxious breast, to close her streaming eye. Okay, looking at tonight, we have kind of a love poem to the night, expressing the poet's love for the night. Here come, I'm sorry, I almost started reading to sleep again. I love thee, mournful, sober suited night, when the faint moon, yet lingering in her wane, and veiled in clouds, with pale, uncertain light, hangs o'er the waters of the restless main. In deep depression sunk, the enfeebled mind will to the deaf cold elements complain, and tell the embosomed grief, however vain, to sullen surges and the viewless wind, though no repose on thy dark breast I find, I still enjoy thee, cheerless as thou art. For in thy quiet gloom thy exhausted heart is calm, though wretched, hopeless, yet resigned. It's important to note that this is from elegiac sonnets. I don't know why I'm struggling with that. Elegiac sonnets, which she was composed while she was in debtor's prison. So if you think about these two poems in comparison to the situation that she was living in, she's anxious, she's stressed, she's living in prison essentially because her family can't afford to pay their debts. Her children are living there. Her husband is there, and so she's anxious. She's got a lot on her plate, and no wonder she can't sleep and she can't rest, and her mind cannot regenerate and get um, you know relief from it. But she, in this particular one, she still says she loves the night, even though she is not getting any, even though she is mournful, she's, in a deep depression. She's sunk in a deep depression. Her mind is enfeebled or caged in and unable to act, right? Um, the mind, she says, in deep depression sunk, can disburden itself, telling its grief to the cold elements. So it's the perfect time for her to be able to disburden her mind, um, because the night is gloomy, it's cheerless, but she can um, at least get calm and um, peace, I guess, maybe. She's not getting any repose or tranquility or rest, whatever you want to say. But she is, the darkness, I guess, maybe covers all manner of sins, and it brings her calm and resignation towards the situation that she's in. And she says, and when she tells her sorrows to the winds and waves, even though no one on earth can hear them, right? They're lost on earth. They may reach heaven's ears. Is the hope that she will, even though on earth the deaf, cold elements don't can't hear, don't care. I guess maybe, but hopefully, maybe in heaven, someone is can hear her. Someone um, can hear her plea and her troubles and bring her peace and calmness. So we've got a little bit of, a combination of things here, the romantic ideals of nature and its kind of restorative powers there. And tonight we have about the emotions, um, and kind of the um, the subjective side of human nature that we kind of talked about in our lecture notes, where the thoughts and feelings and inner struggles really reign supreme in romantic period writing. And so that and the beauty of nature we see here in the two poems by Charlotte Smith here in our early study of the Romantic period.